I am first to say that I'm not an ebook expert. However, I've had some success by creating an ebook to use as a lead magnet. It's actually a promotional freebie ebook, and I did it all in Canva. As I was embarking on that journey myself, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, made a lot of mistakes as I learned the ropes. But I was hoping to save you a little bit of that experience and go through how I set up creating my ebook in Canva. So what would be helpful before I get started is to give me a little bit, obviously a thumbs up if you can hear and see me, and then give me a little bit of knowledge of how much experience you have using Canva. Are you a pro? Are you a newbie? The video obviously will be available to watch later, but I want to make sure that I go slow in the right parts. And, if you know a lot about using Canva, I can speed up as well. So let's see. I'll take a quick peek, make sure my live stream is coming through loud and clear, and we'll get started. All right. Well, it looks like everything is going just perfect. Okay, I'm going to switch on over to Canva, and your entire desktop is showing. Can't see the actual screen. All right, well, I think I fixed that, but I'll go ahead and take a look here just to be sure if that solved things for you, so you can actually see what I'm working on here in Canva. All right. Is that working out? Okay, good. So I get a lot of questions about Canva, whether or not I can use the free version or the paid version. When I created my ebook, I used the free version of Canva. So don't feel that, as far as I kind of show you some things that I find beneficial from Canva for Business, which is the one that you have to pay for. But there's no reason that you need to spend that money. But I'm going to show you some of the things that it does do, and if that's valuable for you, that you might want to opt for that. So creating an ebook. I could get really detailed, but I wanted to start small. So we're going to tackle it in 3 steps. So the first step we're going to cover is creating a book cover. And of course, you could go out and hire a designer to develop your ebook cover. I just used one of the templates from Canva, made a few changes to it, eventually updated it with, different color scheme. And then step 2 is what I discovered was an easy way to help my book, to make actually creating the book easier, which is throughout your book, there's going to be some elements that stay the same. So for example, if I show you my ebook here, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. On each page of the ebook, there's certain things in the header and in the footer that stay the same page to page, as well as the line, the border. So creating what I call a repeating elements page template. If you work in Microsoft Word or some other processing, kind of thinking of as a header and a footer, right? That's going to carry over page by page in your ebook. And you want to get that right from the beginning, because what you're going to do is copy that, whether your book is 10 pages or, 30 pages or more, you're going to want to copy that template over and over so that your book has some consistency page to page. That's what worked well for me. So I'm going to show you how I created that page template. And one of the things that, as I watched some YouTube tutorial videos, adding in some clickable social media icons, particularly if you're using this ebook as a lead magnet, that when you download, you're going to obviously share this as a PDF, right? Perhaps with a new email subscriber, or if you're going to sell it, they're going to get, your ebook after they purchase it. These are, in the PDF that they get, are clickable links. So when they click on that little icon, it's going to take them to your Instagram account. So creating that template, because you don't want to you want to make it easy for yourself. So if there's something that's going to be on each and every page, you want to create it once and then copy that page multiple times. And you're just changing the text and the images throughout. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, the step 3 is really adding in the content, right? Your text and your images. And I actually wrote the actual text of the book in Microsoft Word. I found that to be, easier for me. I don't know, when I get in my writing zone, I write in Microsoft Word. So just staring at a Canva screen and writing wasn't, it just didn't work for me. So I needed to write in Microsoft Word. So wherever works, if you write on paper, whatever, you can copy and paste your text directly in. Images, I used deposit photos. One thing to keep in mind, so if I show you this page, this is an image that I purchased from deposit photos, is to be careful if you're selling an ebook that if you're selling it, make sure you read the license for the stock image photography. Typically, if it's not a major element of your ebook, you're okay with the standard license, but the rights to that image, make sure that you have the right to include it in your, it's included in the license terms wherever you got that image. So just a little cautionary note. Again, not an attorney, but you can click on those license terms for any stock image photography site. So we're going to get started with step 1, and I'm going to start from scratch from a blank one. So I'm not going to skip any steps. We're going to take it from the top. Okay. So this is the paid version of Canva. Really, again, the only difference is a couple of features, which I'm going to show you, which is a resize tool, and then of course your brand colors and fonts, which for me, the more I use Canva, the easier just to be able to match my brand colors and the font. It ended up being kind of useful. So I've opted for the Canva for Business, which is a cost, but I use Canva all the time. So it's definitely been worthwhile for me. So the main page of Canva here, I should have left that open, but Canva has templates. So when I mentioned, I don't know if some of you watched my Instagram story, they offer eBook. So when you log in here, they have a book template. So they want to make it easy for you to make things that look good. So, oftentimes you may opt for, Instagram photo or Facebook post, but if you scroll down, there's a little section called blogging and ebooks. What I want you to pay attention to is, here's the book cover, and this is what we're going to do. Note though the pixels just below, see how it says 1410 and 2250? This is not the size of an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper. So if you're ebook, you expect people are going to read it on their computer or tablet or phone, and it's not really important to you that it be, I guess, letterhead sized, then this book cover works beautifully. But just if you're creating like a handout or something that's more of a workbook or something that you want people who are downloading it to be able to print, this book cover doesn't create an 8.5 by 11 inch size. But for now, we're gonna assume you want to create an ebook that's going to be mostly viewed on a digital device. I'm not going to try to confuse things and show you the alternative. I can always do another tutorial for that. Let me know if that wasn't clear. I'll be happy to loop back around. So when you click on the ebook, what Canva does is it gives you a bunch of suggested layouts. So these are basically book covers. So, when I'm scrolling through, kind of picking one that, maybe you could change the content. It kind of has the general idea that you like. You can always change the colors to match your brand colors, but you're kind of just looking for something that matches with your overall business goal. Like obviously, this one has some food. You might say, well, yeah, that looks good. This is the one I'm going to use. And then you basically click, drag it right over. You can kind of see, it's going to appear over here. So this is now your book cover, and this is your canvas over here, and you can make edits to the cover of the book. So one thing, when you drag over templates that they have, these layouts, they oftentimes have everything all as one big group. So you can kind of see you've got a text, a line, some more text. It's been grouped. You can actually see it says ungroup here. So sometimes it can get really frustrating where you can't change something because it's all grouped. So if maybe you want to ungroup that because you want to, work with each element individually because you want to move it around, you can always do that. And if you want to regroup, Canva can get a little annoying sometimes. When you click on something, it starts moving around, but you can group things as well if you're wanting to use the grouping feature. But anyway, you can make some changes. So I was actually working here on, if I can get back to it, maybe, sorry, okay. So I chose a different one earlier. You can kind of see they can just look different. Maybe this one is something that's more kid related. I do pediatric nutrition. So this one kind of appealed to me. I liked the kind of somewhat childish typography here, the font. And then, I might change this out for some kind of a food image and maybe a quote that, maybe an Alan Satter quote or something of that nature. So again, just showing you some different design options, really looking for one that maybe matches with your audience or your branding or just the general look and feel. So I'm not really giving you a book design consultation, but just pick a cover that kind of appeals to you. Okay. Then, one thing though that I found, sometimes color scheme, if you don't already have a set of brand colors or fonts, that's okay. I didn't when I started either. And, there's always how you should do it right or wrong. Just doing it, I think, is better than not doing anything at all. So I've taken the approach to just get started. You can always refine your work later on. So don't think you can't get started because you don't have everything figured out already. So here, if you have chosen a template, when you click here, this is the color box. It creates what's called like your document color. So in this case, there's only one color throughout. So it makes it easy for you to use the same color throughout the book consistently. And it also has the two fonts that were used. So what I like about the templates is it often chooses fonts that look nice together rather than just starting from scratch. So for example, this one here, you can see these are a couple of their different fonts. So you might also be looking at, the fonts that you like. Trying to look real quick for something that has, like, these are, different color schemes. So if you drag this one over, the colors are going to be easily accessible here. They won't necessarily match your brand colors if you already have them picked out. But if you don't, feel free to pick a color scheme that you like as well. Okay. I hope that's clear here. So I'm going to take you back over here to show you that again. This is this other template that I drug over. If I click on you can click on it, you can see this template had a number of colors throughout. So if I was changing an element later on, I'm adding a line or otherwise, which I'm going to show you next, you can easily keep the same colors throughout. It's important to not be jumping around between different colors. If you want to have something that looks professional in the end, stick with the templates Canva gives you. Use the templates. It was some of the best advice I got early on. Use the templates. Change the elements. If you need to, change it to a food image, change the quote, change the title, but keep it simple. They look good. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. And then if you need to, these are actually my brand colors. I could switch it out. I could switch these lines, to match my brand colors if I want. Okay, so that's kind of step one, is to get a cover going. Step two is where I want to spend a good amount of time because I think it was kind of that aha moment for me, which is creating a repeating pages template. So let me go back over here and make sure I covered questions as we're going along here. I usually get kind of get carried away. Okay, so if we go back to my ebook, let's look here. I just want to show you. Okay, if I can edit this guy. Working a little slow today. I had it open, but I accidentally closed it for you guys. So with my ebook, I created a cover. Again, this was a template that I chose from Canva. I changed this image. Obviously, I added my logo, title, and whatnot. Okay. I created a kind of about me page. A little bit about my business, a little bit about myself, my logo. Then I drafted a table of contents, always good to have if you have an ebook. If you're going to sell it, you're going to want to have a page with all of your ISBN numbers, copyright, all that good stuff. But this is a freebie promotional lead magnet book. And then, so you can kind of see the elements are similar. The first two pages don't include kind of this header, which I'm going to show you here, page 3. You probably can't see this very well. Let's zoom in. So then I started on page 3, pages 3 to the end of the book. Use this repeating all of the elements repeat. So the header here, which is the title of the book, my name, and then just a little line. Then I copied and pasted in this text and had these social media icons. Okay, so here I'm going to show you, I'm going to create a blank page, hopefully. I'm going to delete all this stuff out so I can show you. So if you want to copy exactly what I did, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. So you can just copy and don't even worry about, DIYing it if you don't want to. So once you get your book cover, what's going to happen is you're just going to have one page. It's a book cover, right? So this is called copying this page. So basically, it's going to add another page down below. It's going to actually create a whole, copy of it. But then you can, clear it out, and then you'll have a spot to work from for subsequent pages. So that's what I did. Created a blank page, started working. Okay, here we go. Delete. Okay, so when you have your blank page here, Canva has all of these elements. So the little border that I created came from shapes. So these, when it has a dark background here, it's just gonna bring it over here. Oops. Challenging today. Oh, I already added it. Sorry, it's angry with me today. It's on the wrong page. Kind of sometimes have to deal with Canva. It doesn't like to always cooperate in a nice and friendly manner. So I basically just drug it over. You can see it defaulted to my brand colors because that's what Canva does once you have Canva for Business, which is really nice. It's the right color at the right time. And then you can resize it and make it, again, you want to spend a good amount of time on your repeating page elements because you're going to use it over and over and over again. So let me get rid of these. Let's see here. Because if you make a mistake on your template, for example, something's not centered or it's spelled wrong or the link is wrong, once you've created all of your pages, your blank pages that you're going to add your text and your pictures to, you're going to have to change it on every single one of those. And that's one of the downsides of using Canva versus, other more powerful tools. But if you spend time getting your repeating elements page, the things that are going to be the same on each and every page, correct, then really it becomes just adding in your book, your book text and your images. So if we look here again, the approach I took for my each and every page, I included the title, the book title, my subtitle, if you have one, your book may not have a subtitle, and then my name and my credentials, and then a line. So if we go back down here, Canva has text elements here, so we added in shapes. So now we're actually going to go over here to text, and there's 3 kind of preset. You can always change them. It just makes it easier. Heading is larger, depending on there's some templates where that would change just a little bit, but this is because it's defaulted to my brand font. But these are the 2 fonts, the document fonts. These are the 2 fonts that were, when I drug that template over, these are the 2 fonts that were used in that template. So if I wanted to match up and use the one that's on the book cover, I could just click from the drop down rather than trying to choose my own font. So once you've added that element, you can just click in there, change it. A book title. Clearly you can see I can't spell. And then again, maybe you just want to do your subtitle in the same font. You just don't want it bold, and you're going to make it smaller because you don't like italics. You can totally do that. In the case above, I showed you just dragging over it all set and ready to go, and you can say, I'm a subtitle. And then author. And you can always change the color and all that stuff too to match up. So author. Okay. So then one little thing I've learned in watching many, many, many YouTube videos, professional things don't have mistakes like that things aren't centered correctly. Your eye is not going to result in your font being centered, okay? And that when someone downloads your book, it's everything you put out as a statement about you. So the one little trick that I learned from watching a number of tutorials is, you see here, I have this sized, it's automatically the size of whatever I typed. If you, and it's centered, so you can see right here, it's centered in that text box. If I drag the text box over to match the page edge on each side, you can see the edge gets, if you can see the little dotted lines, you're on the edge because you see these little dotted lines that kind of, when you hit it, the dotted line kind of appears. You see that? Okay. And I'm centered. Okay. So now I know for a fact that this text is centered. And I'm just perhaps part perfectionist, but I notice when things aren't centered or, the spacing is off. So, if you want to think like a designer, you need to think about things like making sure things are centered. So again, I could repeat that. You're only going to spend that time once, right? You're going to do it on your repeating elements page, and then you're going to have things centered for each subsequent page thereafter. If you don't do it on the first template, if you don't do it and then later you realize that it's not centered, you're going to have 35 or 20 pages to fix. So spend a little bit of time and make sure you get it looking really just how you want it before you start copying. Okay, so I'm not going to work these two just because of time, making sure I get on to all the things I want to cover. So again, in my example up above where I was working, I had this line, just kind of a dividing between where the text starts and, where your kind of header is. So I just used a line, and I just basically browsed some books online and kind of picked up what I thought would look good. So you can totally make this your own. You kind of see the size of it. You're like, oh wow, that's huge. Don't worry, when you drag it over, you can always resize it. If you don't like it, you can shrink it. If you want it really skinny or you want it wider, whatever you'd like. This is a little bit trickier to get centered, right? Because you can't necessarily do the little trick that I showed you. So, oops, undo. You're kind of looking at it, trying to make it look fairly, centered. Maybe there's a trick I don't know about, so feel free to fill me in. So you've got your kind of your header done, and you can do whatever you want. Maybe you want to add an image up here or your logo. It's your ebook. You can make it how you want. But I'm just showing you, kind of recreating what I did. So once we have our header done for our book pages, we can work on that footer, which I happen to love these clickable social media icons on the bottom. So this is kind of what we're going for. This font's kind of tiny. I can always make it a little bit bigger. Maybe bold it so that people can see it. There you go. Connect on social media. I'm hoping you guys can see this. Whoa, that's awful big now. Okay. Okay, so you can see I'm going to show you how I added this little Facebook image, and I linked it to my Facebook page. So there's this little link button here. So we're going to start from scratch down here. I'm going to show you how. So down at the bottom, I added that little text, connect on social media. I'm actually just going to continue up here since I've already shown you how to add a text box. And again, we'd be very diligent and we would make sure we center said text box because we want a professional product. So we're going to center it here. So now we know for sure everything's centered. So I've already done this Facebook one. Let me show you how to do, when you go to the search area of Canva. Again, we were down here in elements. We added shapes and lines. We've already used text. We added 3 different kinds of text. We're going to search here. I searched Facebook. And what popped up were these little icons. You can choose the one you like. Maybe you like circles. Maybe you like a square. I just chose a square one. And then I drug it over. So I'm going to do Instagram next. So if I search Instagram, I get this little square image. I like the square one. Whoa, so you're like, holy cow, that's huge. Oops, didn't drag over. Sometimes if you click an element, sometimes Canva can be frustrating. Many people say, I hate working in Canva because it's frustrating. It can be, but once you learn, just keep after it. Drag it over. If you click an element on the page you're working on, and then you drag your image over, it kind of tells Canva what page you're on and where it needs to go. So if you drag something over and it doesn't appear, just stop, click something on that page, and then drag it over again. And you're like, holy cow, that's insanely too big. Let's make that a different size. So you can just, grab it, keep making it smaller. Again, note, you see those little numbers there, 106 by 106? I'm not sure if you can. It's right here. It's telling you how big it is. Pay attention. Make all of your icons the same size. Line them up so that, again, you're going to have a professional looking ebook when you're done. And because you're going to copy this tons of time, you want to make sure you're spending time on making it look good. So again, it's kind of giving you a little bit, it's showing you these 3 lines here. Things are, what it's aligned with. So you can kind of see it's dead center in the middle bullet of that circle of that Instagram. So we kind of lined it up. So when you're lining them up and we get 2 or more, we want to keep the spacing in between, as even as we can. So now I've lined up Instagram right next to Facebook. and then what if I want to link it to my Instagram account? What I do is I click the image that I want to create a link for, and then these little two circles, this little link button, start typing or paste in a URL. I'm going to type it just so I don't have to navigate away for you guys. Instagram.com/ORD2RD_marketplace. Okay, apply. So we would continue on adding as many social media, see again, I drag it, undo. We drag as many social media icons as you want to add. You can even, put your logo and have that linked to your website, which is what I did for my ebook. So that's kind of that footer. And then once you add all of the elements that you want to repeat across each page, then you're going to use this little copy button. So let's assume we've, we could also add page numbers. So let's say you wanted to put in the bottom left, page X. Make sure you add that, because again, as people thumb through it, if you put it on your repeating elements page template, the same exact position, it's going to stay in the same exact position page to page rather than adding in page numbers later. Not to say that you can't, but it's just going to save you time the more, and then copy rather than adding to each and every page. Okay, so assuming we are all set now, I really don't like this font because it doesn't match with what I use. This is Glacial Indifference. Okay, we're going to use that little copy button. So if you watch here, copy that page. Oh, look, we have all of this space, and we can just keep copying to our little heart's content. You can see how many pages we have. Canva lets you do 30 pages, and there's some non-Canva tools that you can use to create a longer PDF out of two smaller PDFs, so if you want to add them together, but I'm not going to talk about that today, just in honor of time. So you've got 30 pages within Canva. Little note that once you start getting a lot of images, a lot in there, Canva can start working really, really slowly. So I found like about 15 pages, I really kind of started to struggle. And what I probably would do is create maybe 10 or 15 pages at a time, download them, and use an external tool to put them all together. So you might notice if it starts to frustrate you when you get more pages, there are some additional tools. You can always message me and I'll give you details, or I'll do another live and show you how that works. So we've created our repeating elements template. And again, yours is going to look different. Just take some time looking at some books. If you've downloaded some free ebooks or you have some books, just sketch out what you want and then, create some kind of a template that for your own ebook. Before I move on to adding in the text, I wanted to show you why I like the paid version of Canva. So remember how I mentioned to you that Canva, the book template size isn't 8.5 by 11. So this is kind of that other one we drug in early on. So if I download this as a PDF, when someone goes to print it, it's not going to print on an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper. Well, it'll print, but it won't fill up the whole page. And sometimes we might want to create a workbook or something that people might want to download and utilize as a tool and a printable, as it's most typically called. Canva allows you to take a book template. So you drag it over, your little template, and then Canva has for business, the paid version, resizing, which, not gonna lie, I really like. It allows you to change the size of something to whatever size you want. So letterhead, let's say. Instead of this book size, I want you to abracadabra, make it a new size. So let's say you found a template that you really liked. Now this is a 8.5 by 11 inch, and see it changes all of the elements. for you, resized it all, and it's, you could then, copy and start your process again of, creating your, your element. I don't like this stuff. You could just clear it all out and start your page, your workbook, let's say. Maybe you wanted to do a, how to go to the farmer's market workbook for, loadable with a blog post or something. Then you could, create a few pages, copy your template, your template page, and then, add your content. So that's one of the really nice features of Canva for Business is you have that resize tool. Another option, if you really want to create a printable, is to start out with a letterhead template, which at the beginning, it's not going to give you quite the same amount of design help, but it's kind of a way around it if you're using the free version of Canva. Okay, so back to what we were working on, which is, why did it open like 95 versions? Oh yeah, because I asked it abracadabra resize to like 95 different sizes. Okay, well, my bad. Let's figure out, okay, we're back. I'm a book title. So if we want to add our text, like I said, I just copied and pasted right from Word. So what I did is I just, again, you see how that was annoying? I drug it over and you're like, hey, this is really frustrating. Click an element on the page, try again. It's just telling you, I don't know where you want this stuff. Don't get frustrated. Just little things about Canva can drive you nuts, but that's, it's usually if you drag it over and it doesn't appear, just, it's probably appearing somewhere else. Just make sure you have something clicked on the page you're working on. So then you just copy and paste in all of your goodies. I should have some lorem ipsum here, but it'll just, you'll write your book or copy and paste it in. And then images. So you can upload images. So if you've taken your own pictures or downloaded some from whether it's free or paid, maybe I just downloaded these. I purchased these stock images. When you click upload, grab your image from wherever you have it saved on your computer. It shows you this uploading it. I oftentimes create something in Canva, download it to my computer, and then upload it again to my images area so that I can use it in yet another tool. So I'm always in Canva. Like I use Canva like way too much, but let's say I'm talking about, this is like vitamins or something. So I could put it here and maybe my text would go around it. And maybe I want to add in like a little caption underneath. So again, you're just going to build your book here. The one thing that Canva isn't very friendly with is making tables. So you could always create a table in whatever you want, whether you do it in PowerPoint or Publisher or Word, and then, convert it, make it an image by, taking a snapshot of it or, screenshot and cutting, cropping down whatever way you know how. I like to use the snipping tool. I use PC. And then you could upload it as an image and drag it in place wherever you want it in your ebook. So just because Canva doesn't allow you to add a table doesn't mean you can't create the table somewhere else and upload it as an image and add it wherever you'd like. If you want to change that table, it's a little bit more tedious, but it's definitely not something you can't do. So these would be the way you would add in your, another thing, you can kind of see this line. Again, I'm being so nitpicky, but maybe you want your images and your border, to line up just so you have, visually, it looks nice. Your text is going to start where your line starts. Okay. So let me go back and just show you, because I'm not going to write a book while we're on here. This was the ebook that I wrote. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see. I, again, created a table of contents. So if we go back up to the top here, so I did sections, right? Section 1, Section 2A, B, C, and 3. And when I was adding in my content, I kind of looked for natural breaks of where to put an image. So, I didn't want a page, pages upon pages with no images. It's a promotional book, so I put a couple of paragraphs, and then just to convey my point, I grabbed this image that talks about it's just multiple income, passive income streams. The next page is kind of like all text, just a few paragraphs, but you can see I put section 1, continued. Digital goods, good for business. So again, when the reader's reading, they have an idea of where they are in your book. So you want to think, like you're developing a book, right? Then we moved into section 2. So again, we have A, B, and C, which is graphic design, product descriptions, and customer experience. So a lot of this book content was actually some core blogs that I had written before launch, that I kind of reworked and filled in some gaps in knowledge that I used to create my ebook. So if you have a number of blog posts on a topic, you might be able to put those into an ebook by just kind of filling in the gaps, writing out a table of content, seeing maybe where you're missing some content, and then adding it in. And that's what worked pretty well for me. So again, I have an image on this page, just trying to break up the long sections of text. So again, section 2. Each of these are separate elements. So this is kind of what I wanted to point out here in the adding the text area. When you create a text box, there's some limitations. So if you want to change, you want to make it bold, you can do that. If you want to make it italicized, you can do that. But if you want to move it around, or it's going to change the size of everything in that text box, and you'll be like, whoa, I don't want everything in there, just create, hold on here, don't really want that like that. Create multiple smaller text boxes. For example, this is size 14. This is not. This is a smaller size 12. I don't know why I wanted that. Oops, undo. I don't want that bolded. I'm trying to grab it and unbold it. Okay, here we go. So here, this is a separate box, and you can see now that I wrote this book forever ago, what's bugging me, this line is not centered. So again, it's the little things. I'm trying to help you have a better product than I have. So it has graphic design, A, section 2, continued, A, graphic design, continued. So again, you're laying out your content so that it, is easy to follow for your reader. So then again, we transition into persuasive product descriptions, which is part B. I didn't include the section title again because it's on the top of the page. Section 2, continued. Now we're on creating an appealing product. Right? Even though, so people know at the top of the page where they are, the title of that section. Here we're in part B. So again, just kind of showing you, thinking through how you want your book to be structured, and so that it's easy to follow for the person who's reading it. While I know an ebook sounds like a spectacular opt-in, let's say you're using this to build your email list, something that I did that seemed to be well received is I even made it better. So this is an ebook, Leveraging Digital Goods, More Money, More Business, a guide, but I also have a bonus getting started checklist. So thinking about taking your ebook, but perhaps giving them something within the ebook that, helps them get started using the information. And sometimes that can be a great stimulus to getting them to buy your ebook if you're selling it, or download it. People are overloaded with tons of information, right? Blogs and otherwise, that giving them something tangible and actually start using the information in your book right away sometimes really helps them to go ahead and opt in for your email list or purchase the product. So I hope that going through all of this has been helpful for you. Really, that first step is, again, step 1, get a cover, use a template, right? You know, here's the layouts. This one's great, okay? You could change the image, change the title. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. It's going to have a couple of fonts that look good together. If you haven't already picked out your fonts, then just use what's included in that template. As you add new text throughout, it's going to, default to that. In my case, I have Canva for Business, so every time I add text, it defaults to my brand settings, which is nice in general. And colors as well. So if you don't have that, it's going to default to the template defaults. So use a cover template, okay? And if you don't have the Resize tool, remember that when you use a book cover template from Canva, it is not the pixel size. It is not sized for 8.5 by 11. So if someone downloads that and they are going to print it out, it's not going to cover the whole page, which may not be a big deal to you, especially if you expect most people to read it on a device. Step 2 is to create your repeating elements page template. This is the page you're going to copy over and over and over again and use for each page throughout your book. Spend time making sure that your elements look professional, right? They're properly sized. The spacing is good. They're centered. Like these are all lined up, top and bottom. And if, zoom in. You can zoom in really far if you need to so that you can see, okay, and make sure that, they're lined up, okay, so that you don't have to just be, get in there really close if you need to make sure that these elements are, they're lined up. Like this is really bugging me because this isn't spaced. So again, if you notice that later on and you already have 18 pages created, I'm going to have to nudge that Facebook icon on 18 pages, which is probably not something I'm going to do. So get it right on the first page, put it down for a couple days or a day or two, come back and look at it, have somebody else look at it so that you can make sure you've got your template looking good. Then once you have your repeating elements, all of your links to social media, for example, I'm going to download this and show you. Download it, test it out, right? Download it as a PDF, right? Without any content in there. Make sure the links are working. Don't find out after you've already finished your whole thing that you forgot to put in the hyperlink for your Facebook was incorrect, or you forgot it or something. Now you got to go back on all your pages and fix it. So once you're all done, and you say, okay, today's the day, I want to download this ebook. I'm not going to do this one just because it's long and it'll take forever. You click the download button, and it always defaults to a PNG. There's two choices, a PDF standard and a PDF print. Honestly, I don't even know what's different about them. Maybe someone should educate me on that. This crop marks and bleed just ends up, like if you're going to take it to a printer, you don't want that if you're going to be giving it to somebody else to print. So here you just wait, hold tight, preparing your design. So I'm going to show you once you open this up, I'm getting it all downloaded, hopefully. Oh, I don't know if I don't think I actually, oh, I did. I hyperlinked. Remember, we did this Instagram one. When I hover on it, see how my hyperlink is there? Instagram, RD2RD Marketplace. So when I click on that, obviously it's going to give me a security warning, but say, yes, this is where I want to go. So it's clickable. As they're reading your ebook, it's going to take them right there where you want them to go. You can do the same thing if you want to link to, where did I go? Where did I go? No, not back here. See? Look at it, I'm lost again. This one. Okay. Sheesh kebabs. If you want to add a link within your text, you can also do that. Maybe you want to link to a blog post, a product. Maybe your free ebook is throughout, it's laced with a bunch of your paid products so that, someone downloads your ebook and is reading it, that then it drives them back to some of your paid products. Or your getting started checklist is perhaps an abbreviated version of maybe, hey, how you can work with me more. Coaching or your, so whatever services that you offer, you can link directly to, maybe it's an affiliate link, whatever, you just disclose these things. But I think ebooks are a great way both to be a direct revenue generating, or if you're providing them for free, to drive back to other revenue generating things for your business. I hope that this was helpful. I'm going to take a peek here. Is there a way to see full screen? Oh, sorry, some people aren't able to see it all. I only have it sized out. We'll see what I can do maybe for the next. I'll review this video and see if you liked the tutorial style. Sometimes I'm not sure what's most beneficial for the RD to RD community. Do you like having kind of how-tos, whether it's, showing you, how to create, like listing images or other things that could be helpful for you? Feel free to drop in the comments if you'd like me to do another tutorial, what you might want in there. But definitely go out and try and to do an ebook. I think hopefully breaking it down into these 3 steps was helpful. And I think sometimes we want to wait until everything is perfect or we know a certain amount. I wish I could show you what my ebook looked like in the beginning. Like, the color was horrible, the fonts were terrible, everything was really not what it looks like today. But you know what? I made it and I put it out there, and you can always refine. The best advice I ever received from a manager early on was just start, then refine, because sometimes we don't take action until we feel like we know everything or we have everything figured out, and that it's okay to just start. And then it's always easier to revise something once it's started than it is to kind of be staring at the project or staring at the idea. So I'm happy to help. Feel free to comments, tag me. My son is home from school this week, and he is definitely anxiously waiting for Mom to finish up her Facebook Live so we can start cooking. We have some cooking projects. So thank you all for tuning in to my Facebook Live today. I appreciate it greatly. And I will hope to see you all again soon. Enjoy your upcoming weekend. It's Wednesday, so we can kind of say the weekend is coming. All right, thanks.